holidays nale adu namma GT Holidays da, South India's #1 travel brand.
Sheenlac Speciality coatings, always shining. Sheenlac.
GUI, இந்தியாவின் தலை சிறந்த vernacular edtech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.
For so many decades, I have not been able to answer this question. What I think, something else will happen. After the release of Kavya Thalavan, I was told to my face, யாருங்க அந்த பழைய காலத்து நாடகத்தை பற்றிலாம் கேட்டாங்க உங்களேன்னு they're asking me. I went in expecting to see a person who's going to teach me a lot. What I found is a person who's still a student and learning a lot. Right. Kamal sir is so curious.
Hello, Siddharth.
Hi, Buddy.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Let's begin with the Instagram, the world of Siddharth, right?
Yeah.
So far, the things that we've seen are photos of you and your cat. We've seen pictures of you and your co-stars. We've seen pictures of maybe like a few behind the scenes kind of things. But suddenly there's been a burst of personal pictures after your engagement. Does that mean that the famously private Siddharth is now beginning to finally open up to the world?
I don't think so. I think you'll see what happens when somebody is happy and when somebody is found there forever. And that's the small hint of that. But you mentioned it's pictures of me and my cats, basically me and my family.
Right.
And my family just got bigger. And so I think that's the change you're seeing.
Right.
Other than that, I'm still very irregular. I'm useless on Instagram. I post once in 10 days and my better half is my tutor. She tells me how to be better and, more regular with social media. So I'm just learning. I'm a work in progress.
Okay.
And she's my collab person. So I think I'm more open now because I have a collaborator to talk about my personal life. But left to myself, I'm still the same, scared of all of that person.
Scared of what?
Scared of the too much attention to special things like my private life. That's why I've always been kind of private and guarded. But yeah, she's teaching me to come out a little bit, and I hope that.
Is that the
it's
processing?
Definitely a process because she's adjusting to me, I'm adjusting to her because she lives a different social media life than I do, and I'm still getting used to seeing myself on screen, where it's different. We came from.
Yeah.
I didn't spend my whole life being called beautiful or handsome or being in front of the camera, so I'm still getting used to it, and she's getting used to my paranoia and guardedness and all of that.
It's a cliche question. I'm trying to ask it in an as uncliched way as possible. When you're in front of Kamal Hassan, as an actor, can you tell me something that you observed, something about his process?
Definitely. First of all, I just want to say something that Kamal sir is my favorite actor. And since my first interview 21 years ago, when they asked me who's my favorite actor, I said Kamal Hassan. If you'd asked me 40 years ago, I would have said the same thing, Kamal Hassan. So admiring him and loving him as an actor from afar has been my whole life. So I consider him my teacher because I think he's always in the back of my head. Even in my first film, I remember days that I've thought about him while acting. So when you're now going to work with that person, I went in expecting to see a person who's going to teach me a lot. What I found is a person who's still a student and learning a lot.
Right.
Kamal sir is so curious and Kattradu kaiyalavu kallaladu ulagalavu, he says it in a lot of stages. It's a very old adage. It's about him because a person who I call a university is still going and studying a new thing every day. That's what I saw of him on set, and he's constantly adapting, constantly learning. And that's something that will stay with me because I've tried to always be a good student. And I've said this in interviews, I'm a student of cinema.
Right.
Every day I have to learn something new. That's what excites me.
Right. What did you learn on Indian 2?
Indian 2 for me was a huge responsibility, Buddy, because it's such a big franchise. And you can see it in the poster, the Senapati character is larger than life. And 28 years later, people are coming to watch that iconic character. My responsibility in that film is to do my job. So Director Shankar, who launched me in Boys, called me back after 2 decades and gave me this film. And I've never spoken about this character anywhere. Nobody knows what I'm doing in this film. You've seen a trailer, so you get an idea of what and a song, so you get an idea of what it is. But there's a lot more to this role that doesn't meet the eye. And so my learning on this film was to not be overawed by anything. And I have said many days, I've come to Shankar and I've said, "Yeah, munadi Kamal Hassan nadichittirukar sir." And he says, "Yo, enak Indian edukarapo eppadi irundirukum yosichu paariya." So Kamal Hassan has always been a larger than life actor on set. For me as a fan, as a student, to not let that get in the way of my job was my biggest responsibility.
Right.
So that is my learning, that I have been able to do that. I'm not here to be his fan. I'm not here to be his student. I'm here to be an actor who's being paid to be a character.
Right.
And I have to hold my scenes. So that was my major preparation and effort for Indian 2.
Was there an element of, I don't know, awe?
It's default setting.
no, but
The default setting is awe.
Right. But how do you overcome that so that you're the character?
I think it's the same thing. See, what is my job? My job is to be somebody I'm not. The further I go away from myself, the better I'm doing my job, because I'm not paid to be Siddharth on screen. I've never wanted to be myself on screen. Now the other complication is, I've said in another interview, this character that I'm playing in Indian 2 is the closest to my real personality. So then am I just going to go be myself just like as if there's no acting? No. I had to create another personality that is not me, but is similar to me. So that I also leaned on Kamal sir a lot. I leaned on Shankar sir a lot because they know my process. I've been working a certain way for many years. So that was the big takeaway for me, was to see this character on screen who reminds me of Siddharth, but he's not Siddharth.
Right.
And that's my job.
Right, but that's really nice to hear somebody speak that, because what happens is when a lot of people act with an actor from a different generation, or when you hear them speak, it's like it's as if the acting meant nothing and the being around this person meant everything. So it's very like nice.
I have way too much confidence, arrogance, and self-respect to go on another set to be a watcher. And I consider myself a great actor. I consider myself a big star. So from the beginning of my career, I've held my own. So my gurus will expect that from me.
Right.
If they suddenly see that even he's doing jalra around us, they'll see it. I'm not that kind of person. And universe has been very kind to me. From my first film, I have been only with legends.
Right.
Maniratnam, Shankar, Amir Khan, Prabhu Deva, come up all the way up Nageshwar Rao Garu, all the way up to Kamal sir. So I've only been with legends my whole life. So I've never been a person who fans and fawns over people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that Maniratnam also says, because there was an event and somebody came and said Sar, and then he said, just call me Mani, and that person really did not know how to react, because he was like, I think they were used to.
No, we are living in a very, very tough time, man, because here if I say Kamal Hassan in an interview, there'll be 100 people to say Kamal sir and solunga, Ulaganayagan solunga. That's a very different world. I think respect has nothing to do with the titles before and after a name.
Right.
The name itself can be told with respect.
Right.
And the sir, G, all that is, it's part of our industry, the curses of our industry.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was it like getting back to Shankar mode after all these years? I mean, in the sense that I'm sure you sense something has changed in him, right? It's like
You'll understand this if I explain it to you from the beginning. When I first came to cinema, my understanding of cinema was a very different cinema from Shankar sir's cinema.
Right.
So when Boys was offered to me, my first instinct was to say no. Because that was not part of my plan. Because even when we are 19 or 20 or 21, we think we know everything. We planned everything. We will do this will happen. So Shankar sir's cinema was never part of my plans. And then I went there and I learned a lot of cinema. And then for the next 20 years, I've never gone back to that scale or span of cinema as a lead actor, right? There's no films that are that large on canvas and scale. When I came back after 20 years, he still dreams and imagines in the same level. But I'll tell you the magical part, he never raises his voice. Even today, Director Shankar is directing a 500 crore film where Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will go wrong is happening.
Right.
But he never gets upset, never raises his voice. I found that amazing, buddy, which means everybody dreams differently. And his process is that he's trying to create something impossible. But the difference was, I joined him as a newcomer who had done stage work and who was an assistant director. I've never acted for the camera before that. Now I'm coming to him after 20 years. So I think we both know each other much better now. I mean, he knew a lot then also. I've kind of learned a little bit and I can see him from a distance. I don't see the monitor. My whole career, I've never looked at a monitor. I keep looking at his face. In Boys, I wouldn't know because we were newcomers. They'll okay the take and they'll go out to the next location. We'll still be waiting and saying, okay, we're going to act the next take. Sir, another location poitanga, they'll tell us, oh, okay, we'll run to the other location. Here it's not like that. Here I'm watching him, I know what the process is, and I can see with a little eyebrow movement or a movement of his nose whether he likes a take or not. And so Shankar sir said in an interview, Siddharth now knows what I want. And we have a joke in my first film. He'll say, yo, dosa pada deya, dosa uta deya, he'll say, or expression, precise or close-up, he'll want a close-up shot. And I'll take process, take one. He said, I want a close-up reaction. Just put a pulley, put a dot, don't make a dosa over there. So that was a joke. So I asked him in this film, saying, did I make any dosas on this film? He said, no, you've become, I'm seeing your growth, you've become very precise now. He said. That was the biggest compliment I got from Shankar sir.
Nice. But as a creator, do you sense anything different in his approach or his process, or is it like the...
It's the same
It's
process.
the same.
It's the same process. He depends on what is written. Everybody thinks Shankar sir goes to a set and says, make it big. No. His first, it comes from what he writes. And the power of the pen is what I still enjoy reading the scripts that he gave me, the scenes that I read.
Right.
And he's very, very precise about how the scene should look and sound. There are many directors who'll go to the edit and find it. They'll find it in dub.
Right.
They'll rewrite the film in dub. Famous directors do this. With Shankar sir, it's not like that. What is written will be shot. What is shot will be dubbed. What is dubbed will be kept in the film. It
Right.
will not change like that. There won't be lip sync jumps and all of that.
Right.
So he's very precise on that.
So one thing I'm really curious about as a person who likes reading screenplays is that, some people, they write the dialogues, the mood of, let's say your name is Chandru, angry, dialogue. Then the person opposite you, Senapati, calm, so-and-so. But there won't be much of filler outside saying, unless just the action that is walks out. Whereas I've seen other scripts where it's a huge, place, the walls are green, something, and then there's a huge pillar on which he's resting his hand. I've seen that detail come into the script. So if you can tell this, what kind of scripts
You'll
are...
be amazed because there's so much scale involved in Shankar sir's films. The production designer is there in the script. So his scripts are very, very detailed.
So you see the grandeur.
You will see everything on paper.
Right.
It is not that so-and-so went here and said this. No. It will be what mood he is in, what kind of place it is, what he thought when he saw that place, what the reaction of people around, because that will tell you how many people are in the scene.
Right.
That will tell you what the size of the set is. That will tell you what VFX is going to come in.
Right.
That will tell you what the special properties and the action part of it is. But that's how most detailed, especially Tamil cinema screenplays for the last 50 years have been written like that. In fact, longer than that. We have a folding paper system, if you remember that. We would take a paper, fold it. This will be the description and the character name, and this will be the dialogue. It's easier for the direction department.
The right half, left half.
So it will be left half, right half. So that in today's typing and formatting world, there are big, dense descriptions of everything. And that's what we play with in the scene.
Right. See, there is one school of screenplay writing that says that you only say what is actually there on screen and the descriptions are actually outside, right? How do you judge length of a screenplay length of the film based on a screenplay like that? Because there's going to be a lot that I'm seeing as I see you. It's not necessarily extra time.
See, this I can do in films I'm either writing or producing. I don't do it in films I'm acting.
No. I'm asking if you could,
okay.
just as a curiosity thing.
See, generally we have a minute per page logic in the way we write. So that is, if you're following certain styles of writing, you'll end up with 1 minute per page, and that's how you measure it.
Yeah.
We are living in a time where, this generation is not learning to make films the way we learn to make films. We learn to make films based on theory and whatever practical experience we can get. So 20 years ago, for a shot to be okayed, only one person was watching the camera lens. That was the cameraman. So he was on the eyepiece. And he will cut the camera and the whole direction department will look at him to ask, can we print this take? Is it a okay take? So he will check it. He can't replay it. There's no monitor. There's no playback. So he will gauge it if there's any focus drop and he'll say print. Today, there's a positive image. There's a big TV on set. So everybody around the set is watching the film being made, and so they think they know what to do with the filmmaking process.
Right.
So there's very little discovery today. A lot of filmmakers after this also are finding their films in edit. So they shoot In those days, if you shot more than 1.5 lakh feet for cinema, they said you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so in those days, only the biggest budget films would cross 2-3 lakhs because Shankar Sir's films would cross that.
Yeah.
I think it was 3.5 lakh feet for one, 4.5 lakh feet for one exposed. Today's thing, there's no limit.
Yeah.
There's no 12,000 rupees per can of film. So you can just keep on shooting and go and look for the film in the edit and the producer will die. Here you'll be amazed. Everything is spoken and done exactly how it is written.
Right.
Because otherwise, imagine a 500 crore film that is discovering.
Yeah.
It will become a 2,000 crore film.
Right.
So Shankar sir knows exactly what he's doing. And the reason I understood this is Kamal sir, when he comes to Shankar sir's set, he just submits. It's not two people discussing, "Ipdi panlama, apdi panlama." Said, nothing like that. You'll be amazed. They both come, Shankar sir and he will just, Kamal sir will just like stand like this. He'll understand the scene. And if he has any doubts about practicals, he'll ask. Otherwise, they'll do a take. It will be exactly how it is written. If that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Siddharth, let's have a little flashback, right? So when the first Indian came out, Shankar was relatively new and he'd already established himself with 2 giant blockbusters. So it was like, but those films had relatively, like lesser stars in the sense of box office thing. Suddenly it was Shankar and Kamal together. So it was like this gigantic thing. Rahman was still relatively new. So like Rahman's music, every album was proving to be a blockbuster. So wow, now Rahman's music is like all the songs that hits, that was happening. That the scale itself was new because I don't think anybody in Tamil cinema, even when you say, take a Chandralekha for instance, it's not like every film that S.S. Vasan made was like at that scale, right? But Shankar is like, every film of mine is a Chandralekha. It's like it's like this gigantic thing. So the scale of the film, I still remember watching that morphing at the end of Kappaleri Poyache, and I was gobsmacked. And by then I'd started watching foreign films, so I pretty much had an idea of what else was there. And before that, it was only like local stuff, right? But I was like a little baby, like watching this on a big screen, watching them go from state to state to state, and I had goose flesh because it was such an Indian thing, like what was your memory of watching that?
I saw Indian many times in the theatre, but before Indian, I saw Gentleman on the first day in the first show that it screened. And I can tell you, those days was a better day for cinema because the biggest film of the year was not always the most expensive film of the year or the most marketed film of the year. The biggest film of the year was the one that people genuinely loved the most.
Yeah.
So Gentleman for me was that year's most beloved film, right? Same thing happened with Kadalan. And then when it came to Indian, anyway, I saw all the Kamal Hassan films on the first day. This now was a thing where I was watching Shankar's films on the first day. And what Shankar brought to cinema was this way of going beyond the imagination of the common man.
Yeah.
He blew their minds because literally he expanded their visions. And Kappaleri Poyache, that one song, no idea happens for the first time. Every artist adapts an idea for the first time.
Right.
So there's a song on Doordarshan, Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, wo Sur Bane Hamara. In that, every cut will be a different language in our beautiful, vast, diverse country. And I remember those 20 languages in that song even today. Then you saw Michael Jackson's Black or White.
Yeah.
Kamal was in that.
With Balamurali Krishna.
Yeah. So on the beach and all that.
Yeah.
Then you see Black or White, which Michael Jackson did. Same thing. Unity in diversity. And he had, it's black, it's white, and all the faces would change.
Yeah.
Kappaleri Poyache is a mix of these two.
Yeah.
But done in a way that nobody had imagined it then.
Yeah,
So for me, I saw Indian many times in the theatre. My most memorable viewing of Indian was in Prarthana, sitting on the floor. It's a road.
Sadly no longer exists.
Yeah, it's just a tragedy.
Yeah.
And we sat on the floor, and the masala dosa used to be so epic in those days. And we sat on the floor and I saw the film. I remember that night that it made me very angry as a young boy. It made me really angry. And I was an adolescent going into like end of school, starting college. So it made me angry about how helpless I was about the system, and the scene where he kills his own son and the scene where he lets his daughter die. Were just scenes that we had only heard about freedom struggle and all of that, but in the contemporary world, we didn't know that need. So Indian created that in me. I still remember that emotion. And it gave me great happiness that that's the franchise that I got called back in the sequel by Shankar sir.
Right.
You know, because I've been known for being somebody who speaks a lot in anger and all of that. So I think there's a lot of meta stuff in it as well.
Do you think that sowed the seeds of the activist you became?
No, I was already set to be I was already doing activism when I was 15 years old. So it was all adding to it. Different meetings, different films, because I used to watch thousands of films. So I
Right.
can't say one film did
Right,
that to
right,
me.
right.
But I would definitely say that is the reason that Shankar sir called me for this film.
Right.
Not because I'm an activist, but because he needed somebody with anger.
Right.
And he told me, I need your anger in this performance. You have to bring that truth, fearlessness and speaking truth and being angry. I want you to bring that to this character. So I think they're all connected in a very meta kind of way.
Right. The Indian Tata inside Siddharth
Correct.
is
Correct.
now finding an outlet.
Correct.
Now that Twitter is no longer there.
Thankfully,
And-
Twitter is no longer there in my life.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, Twitter is now my ex.
But these social media platforms are a way to vent, right? It's like you want or to talk about your thoughts, your feelings, your this is not right, this is not or this is great or whatever it is. Now that you're no longer on Twitter, you don't miss that at all. That the ability to
No,
to
I've
vent.
lost a lot in the last 10 years, Badi. I've been talking my mind for 25, 30 years, but the last 10 years have been particularly harsh. And I mean, I was trying kind of, it was getting a bit tiring and a bit lonely. And when I was the only person speaking in my entire fraternity, I was asked, Neenga mattum pestringa. Nobody went and said to the other people why they're not talking. Then I went silent. Then they came and said, Ippu neenga pesa mattingringa, you're not talking anymore. I said, why am I the only person under scrutiny? I will do what all of my peers do, which is focus on my job. And being a film actor is not an easy profession, you know that. You have to, every day is uncertain. You have a very long way to go. I think I just got tired of being disliked for being a truth speaker. I want to be an actor. They go to see a film of mine or they watch it on TV or on their phone. I don't want them to reject me before I start performing.
Right.
I want you to judge me for my craft, not because whether you like me in real life. I think that's why for the last 22 years, I've kept my real life to myself. You understand? Being private is basically, maybe you won't like the person you meet. That should not influence you from not watching my film.
Right.
My primary job is to be watched and to be, do the job that's been given to me. So I hope that connects.
Yeah. Just to complete that thought. So now when there are thoughts in your mind or when you want to get them out and you want to vent.
You're basically saying what do you do when the gym is closed? I
Yes.
mean, how do you go and get a workout?
Right.
See, I became more silent because of my family, for my parents and for my producers, because I didn't want them to suffer because of me. So now they bear the brunt of my... When I have a thought, I tell it to the people for whom I'm quiet. I make sure that their ears are open for me.
Right.
And that includes my poor better half. So he has to listen to a lot.
Right.
I'm not a quiet, shy type. So I talk a lot.
Right. I know every film that you do is a personal choice. You look for something, you do it. But something I'm guessing must have been especially validating when Chitta was received the way it was and it got all those accolades and all that. I mean, was it? How did you feel as a producer?
The whole thing, you see it in reverse, buddy.
I'm
saying let's see it in reverse.
Okay.
Where if you're saying once the acceptance has happened, then that validation means something. No. The reason that film was made was to tell myself and ask myself, why am I still in this business?
Right.
What do I enjoy about being an actor? Why am I producing films? That's the reason Arun and I created Chitta in my house. It was not a script that came to me. It was cooked in our house for 1 year. And then we went to make it. And my father, who's the producer of the film, he's my CFO. After that 2-year journey, I finished the shoot and it took me 16 months of post-production on that film. Many people don't know this. I make independent films like big studio films in my life. So my father at the end of the process, in fact, I remember the night Kamal sir saw the film at home. And it was before the release and he was speaking about the film for a very long time to me and my father. Once he left, my father asked me, did you always know this film will be this good? And the same thing I told him. I knew the day we started that we will make that good film. So Chitta is the reason I said it's my second launch. Nobody was giving me the work I deserved. Nobody was giving me the work I thought I'll enjoy. Nobody was making the film I felt needed to be made. So I made it myself.
Right.
So it is like how Shankar sir launched me with Boys, I launched myself with Chitta.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
my
great
first 20 years was boys. My next 20 years will be Chitta.
Would you say that you have a good instinct for what works with the audience?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Because I am my only audience. I make films that I'll enjoy. Now, are there films of mine that I have not enjoyed as much? Sometimes you do films because they're a meal ticket, because you're in the business. For 20 years, I've only chosen the best films that came to me. Now, I do many things. Some have been rewarded, some have been ignored. I speak 5 languages like a local. I've dubbed films like a local in a new language. Nobody's done those before me. Some have, not all.
Right.
But that has not been rewarded. But that doesn't mean that that's not a skill or that I'm not good at it.
Right.
Similarly, I've had films that are very good that didn't work. Now, when they didn't work, do I regret doing those films? Do I say they are bad films? No. So, similarly, like that, I think I make films for specific reasons. Each film has a different destiny.
Right.
And Chitta, like you said, today they said we used to watch movie in the theaters. Then they said movie comes to TV and satellite we watch. Now they're saying OTT. Chitta is a film that will live for till longer than me.
yeah.
Every time a new person sees the film, they'll see it like the first time.
Right.
So I don't. Yes, we made a lot of money in theatrical. Yes, we made a lot of money in OTT. Yes, we did very well in satellite. But that's not the result of the film. That's not what makes Chitta great.
Right.
People liking it does not make it great. Chitta being great made people like it. And I'm very proud I was part of it.
Right. And I'll tell you why I'm pursuing this line of thought, because for me, as somebody who watches films, reviews films, the success of a film like Chitta is very gratifying, because it means that 5 more people will say, I can make this kind of a movie, and as long as the budgeting is right, I know that there is an audience for it, because we keep talking all the time about, oh, nobody went and watched Unbasivam, and or nobody went and watched some other X movie, Y movie, whatever it is. Oh, why didn't they watch, or whatever? Because you didn't go watch. That's all that is. So when a movie like this does well, that's why I'm saying, that is.
It is very important, Baddy, because I made Chitta because I wanted to make a film for my mother, for my sister, for my future wife, for the women in my life, because all films are made for the male gaze. I wanted to make a film that was made from the point of view and the sensitivity angle of the woman. In fact, now I want to make a children's film the way children's films were when we were growing up. Because today's children are consuming adult content, A certificate in a potriko, all kids are going and watching it, and they're doing all the nonsense that violence is and drugs and everything is bringing into the filmmaking. I want to make, when are we going to make our Harry Potters? When are we going to make our, Percy Jacksons? So I'd like to, they're exploring that now. I want to make films for children that will, when we were children, the kind of stuff we wanted to make. So that as a producer excites me to make genre films for the correct audience. Not one size fits all and everybody watches this overdose of sex and violence that's being sold in the cinema.
Right.
So yeah, that Chitta is very important because the people who it was made for fully got the film.
Right.
And they will hopefully come out and support those kind of films in future.
Right.
That's important.
Yeah. You know that the tagline or the caption for Indian 2 is zero tolerance. What does Siddharth have zero tolerance for?
Well, over the last 25 years, I've had zero tolerance for many things. I was called a Sandakoi, so, fighter cock for those who don't speak Tamil. Right now, zero tolerance for me is very clearly hate. Yeah, I have zero tolerance for hate. I have zero tolerance for anybody who thinks they are superior to somebody else because of their background or where they were born or their name. I find that really repulsive. And in a world that we talk about equality, when you still see that everywhere and dealing with that is zero tolerance. I don't like to deal with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that goes back to part of the activism that you're doing earlier. Anyway, you were talking about
activism is, basically today's world, if you're seeing one person killing another person, if you go and stop them, there are people who stop you. You understand? Don't kill this person. Is when we said it when we were growing up, they'll say, okay. Today you say don't kill somebody, they're like, why do you say like that? Do you know what that person did deserving to be dead? It's that world. So their activism for me is, if there is a binary, if there's two people in a situation, whoever is being oppressed, I'll go and stand with them.
Right.
Irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their birth, whatever, I'll go and stand with the person who's being oppressed.
Right.
And that's what I've done for 25 years. Now I still do it in my private life. I just don't do it as part of my public personality.
Right.
I do my fighting in private.
Right. So you said zero tolerance for hate. How do you react when some of that hate is targeted towards you in terms of, let's say, not liking your film or not liking your performance or not something that has to do with you personally, or maybe even some idiot who leaves a comment on your Instagram page, some hateful thing. How do you?
Since the first time, I didn't come from fame, buddy. When I became famous for the first time, I fought to not change my way of living. I'm a foodie, so I still eat on the streets. I still eat everywhere I feel like. I don't go with security. I still don't have a security detail. I go wherever I feel like eating and I eat. It's the same thing. What will you do if somebody does something to you in public?
Yeah.
That's what prevents actors and stars from going out and living normal lives. I kind of adapt the same thing to the digital world, right? So hate is inevitable. I won't say it doesn't bother me. I'm not a liar. It does hurt when I've been abused for being educated. I've been abused for being good looking. I've been abused for being fair. I've been abused for speaking well in interviews. I've been abused for many things that make no sense. And some days in the morning they'll hurt you. And those days will be a little confusing. But then when you think of it, did you change your personality after that is the important question.
Right.
I've known you for a long time, you've known me. We are exactly the same people we were when you were screenwriting and I was a startup actor.
Yeah.
We're the same people. So that's important. That noise, you have to learn how to kind of listen to it, be self-aware, but then don't let it affect you.
Right.
Otherwise, it's really tough. Then you won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
You
can't
Because
get
you
out of
can
bed.
please some of the people some of the time. You can't please all of the people all of the time. So that applies for talkative, arrogant people like me.
This is very wise. This is one thing that I really enjoy talking to is it's always like playing tennis, because it's like I serve and then I don't know where the ball's going to land, or at least I think I know where the ball's going to land, but then what you give me back is a return that I don't expect. And
All I'm saying is there are 2 possibilities out of 3 I'll allow. Love all I'll take. Advantage Baradwaj I'll take. Advantage Siddharth, if I take, they're going to abuse me. So we'll take only the first 2 results and I'll be really wise in that.
we were talking about the success of Chitta and what it meant, and why I'm personally so happy that a movie like that succeeded, because I think it's going to empower some other filmmakers to do that. Now, when Kathiravan came out, you not when it came out, but a little later talking about it for some other film, I forget which one, you said one of the things that you did not, you spent 1.5 years on that film, and on the first day some 50 people or something came. So from then on you realized that you wanted to make films where that would draw people in, that would attract people in. Now, this is not a precise science, right? You
Correct.
don't know which film is going to connect. So
Correct.
I was just trying to, where did that statement...
In one line, I'll tell you, I made Kathiravan because I came from theatre. I thought the most interesting topic in the world for everybody will be how Tamil theatre was born.
Yeah.
And what was Tamil theatre 100 years ago. Correct?
Right.
After the release of Kathiravan, I was told to my face, யாருங்க அந்த பழைய காலத்து நாடகத்தை பத்திலாம் கேட்டாங்க உங்களை, they're asking me. Now there are people for whom Kathiravan is one of their favorite films of all time.
Right.
They were not that theatrical audience. So will I make Kathiravan again? Definitely. I mean, some film like it. Will I expect it to run in theaters? No. I'll make it for the audience who want to appreciate that, and now we have a way to find them. That's what is called OTT.
Right.
So to keep doing the same thing again and again and saying the result will change because I am involved is what Albert Einstein called as insanity.
Right.
I don't want to do that. So I learned from that Kathiravan is not a mistake. The result of Kathiravan is a mistake. Ram Gopal Verma has a line in Company. फैसले गलत नहीं होते, उनके नतीजे गलत होते.
Yeah.
Decisions are not the problem. The consequences of those decisions are the problem. So I have seen that consequence and I won't make that mistake again.
Right, right. But speaking of that, don't you think the bandwidth of what people will watch today has really shrunk?
Yeah.
I'm glad
The
you say
more
this because
the more the universe gives you, the less we will take from it. When TV came, they called it an idiot box, right?
Right.
Because I used to watch Quiz Time on TV.
Yeah.
That's how I started quizzing.
Siddharth Basu.
I used to watch Old Fox. I used to watch, Bodyline. I used to watch Mastermind. That's how I learned Zoo 2000. That's how we learned things.
Yeah.
They were calling it an idiot box at that time. Similarly, now internet gives you so much to learn. We will take the other extreme. We'll do the worst thing possible from it. So bandwidth, again, people don't have patience. People can't hold a 1 minute scene in a theatre without looking at their phones. Nothing important is happening on that phone. Earlier we used to get angry or insulting cinema. No. Earlier, cinema was the only thing they had. Today, cinema is one of the 20 subjects that people have. And tomorrow you shut down cinema, nobody's life will change, only our life will change. People will move on and do something else. Reels will take over the world or something else will happen. Cinema in those days, I've had a film in 2006 which ran for 1 year in cinemas. 365 days it ran with good crowd. Today you can't even
That's
imagine
Bommarillu,
that.
right?
Bommarillu. I had 1 year before in Nuvasthanante.
Yeah.
I had it 6 months before in Rangde Basanti at that time. I had 18 months, 3 films that ran for almost a year.
Right.
So that is a different time. Now is a different time. So now if you want somebody to say something about you, you have to specifically do PR and pay for it and have them say it for you. And that's the world we live in. It's a world of make-believe. So cinema is not what it was. So today people are living in so many realities. They're getting bored while paying money to watch a film.
Yeah, that's really odd because it's like you've paid this money to watch this film and you're not watching the film.
The other end of that argument is in parallel cinema when Adur sir in Kerala said, you have come to watch my film. What is your problem how long the film is? You came to watch the film, no? Watch it. If you don't want, get out.
Yeah.
That's parallel cinema. It's an arrogance or a confidence of an auteur. We are talking about regular entertaining cinema where the BGM sounds have gone up, the cuts have become faster. Still this guy is going to his phone. So it just tells you cinema is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't go expect them, எப்படி இருந்துருமா cinema? Better respect. No, they have other things to do.
Yeah.
Like I said, my father used to tell me, you guys don't know Garfield Sobers, you guys don't know Eknath Solkar, what a fielder in point, you know, Pataudi played with one eye, all this we used to hear. This generation that became patriotic last week for a T20 win doesn't know who VVS Lakshman is. They don't know who VVS Lakshman is. He's one generation before, greatest test batsman of his era. Now, we can't say that VVS Lakshman is a nobody, right? He's one of the great legends, but he was a great legend in test cricket at a time when cricket was everything.
Yeah.
Purity of cricket was everything. Today, cricket is entertainment.
Yeah.
Today, the guy who hits the furthest six is the most patriotic guy. That's the world we are living in.
Yeah.
That's all.
You sound very zen and very
No, Zen.
accepting.
Zen people don't talk this much. I'm the opposite of Zen.
No.
I'm a modified Zen.
You absorbed all this negativity and you emerged this super positive person.
No, I told you, I'm a man in love. I'm a man who's happy. I'm a man who's found family forever. I'm a man who's found purple patch, and I'm working with my 2 gurus. One who launched me 21 years ago. The other who I've known for 45 years since I was born. My life is the life of dreams. It's something I explain this to Kamal sir every time I meet him, and Shankar sir every time I meet him. You don't know what it means to be me. Nobody gets to do the things I do.
Right.
And in a time when everybody's so sad and so dejected and so frustrated and so much venom on YouTube and comments and social media, I get to live this life.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
You know, you said this exact same thing the last time we did this interview for Tucker.
Same thing.
You said it's a great time to be me.
Super time.
Yeah,
Super
because
time.
you said we're coming out of a difficult time in COVID, but right now I've got this great series of films coming out.
And that time Chitta was unseen.
Unseen,
Now
yeah.
Chitta is seen.
Seen.
So in that scheme of things, this next 2 years, the biggest relief is I don't have to think about what I'm doing, because my dad used to ask me, what is your dream? I think my dream is in December I should know what I'm doing in June next year. For so many decades I have not been able to answer this question. What I think, something else will happen. This is the first time when Chitta happened, and last December I sat down and I said, this is where I want to be in June. And pretty much all the things I said are happening according to what I thought and what was told to me. So I'm very happy, and I've signed my next 3 films. I have already 3 films ready for release, you know, that Indian 2, Miss You and Test across this year. So my year is full for releases. I have 3 films to shoot. I don't like shooting parallelly for other films, so I shoot one at a time. So that's a certain number of days. Signed a very big Hindi web series. So it's a great time. Like I said, I'm getting paid really good money for my time, respected in multiple languages. So it's all good.
Right, and you know, there was a time when people that you talk to in the industry, they were like, I still don't know why this should be a problem, but with you and Maddie and certain other people, they used to say things like, are they Tamil actors or Hindi actors or Telugu actors? Because it's almost like they expected that you stick to one place and be there. But that's really changed now.
I think Maddie and I have both gone through similar kind of trials and tribulations because our strength is we speak multiple languages. That has been used against us because we have legs in multiple boats and so we are known everywhere. But that helps people say that we are not big stars in one place. But he also hasn't taken it very seriously. I also haven't taken it very seriously. I keep learning new languages all the time because I love it.
What are you learning now?
Well, I learned Kannada for Chitta and I dubbed Chitta in Kannada. I'm very keen to do a Bengali film soon because
That's your Etaki. That's your...
Etaki comes from Bengali, but I'm very keen to do a Bengali film or at least play a full-fledged Bengali character in a film. So I've been brushing up my Bengali a little bit. I also speak other languages which have not yet happened in film form, but
Right, but
yeah.
So you've done Tamil, Telugu, Hindi.
Yeah, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, Malayalam I've done,
right.
and
Kamal
English,
Hassan
English with Midnight's Children and Kannada with Chitta's Kannada dub.
Right.
So, and that I learned a dialect. I didn't just learn Kannada. I learned Mandya Kannada and I dubbed it as a character from a certain part of Karnataka.
That's nice.
Which I found very thrilling.
Right.
Whether the people got it is not relevant to me. I didn't do it for your applause. I did it for my challenge and to say that I can do this. Who am I? I'm a pan-Indian actor who can speak 5 or 6 languages like a local, which many people in my generation can't do. And in Indian too, I'm very proud of this, that Kamal Hassan has dubbed in Tamil, Telugu and Hindi. Bobby Simha has dubbed in Tamil, Telugu and Hindi. And Siddharth has dubbed in Tamil, Telugu and Hindi. And that itself makes it a pan-Indian film. And I'm very excited about that.
Right. And you are there in Indian 3 as well.
Of course. If there's an Indian 4, I'm in that too.
No,
You cannot. I'm very much part of both films.
I didn't know if you were going to admit that because in case you were going to be off.
Kamal sir said no. Our வந்து Indian 3 select, Indian 2 select பண்ணது Indian 3 காகன்னு. நான் இந்த full படத்தோட கதை கேட்டு தான் இந்த படத்தை accept பண்ணேன். So I have many ways to give Guru Dakshina to Shankar and Kamal sir, Shankar sir and Kamal sir, but this is not a Guru Dakshina film. This is a film where I need to show Shankar sir and why Shankar sir launched me in Boys, and I need to show why I am Kamal Hassan's student.
Right.
I think both of those whys will be answered in this film.
And we'll see that soon. Thank you so much. Sid.
Thanks
That
so
was
much,
great.
man. Thanks. Cheers.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. South India's #1 travel brand.
Sheenlac Speciality Coatings. Always shining. Sheenlac.
GUI, இந்தியாவின் தலை சிறந்த vernacular edtech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.